And now we're going to go over several different coverage options that's going to serve you, active duty, and your family members. Let's really unpack SGLI. Who's eligible, who's not, who's actually going to make sure that they're going to be covered. Eligibility for SGLI, you have to understand SGLI. Let's figure out what that is. Hey veterans, welcome back to the Veteran Learning Center. This topic here, we're going to go over VA life insurance programs, which is going to be phenomenal because, again, many veterans are not utilizing their life insurance at its maximum capacity. So what we want to do so, because it's such a crucial program and aspect of planning, especially for veterans and families today, but with so many dangers from a veteran or active duty member, well, with those dangers and also, extreme hazardous areas that we work in, we want to make sure that we're taking care of families or loved ones and making sure, even in the afterlife, we're able to make sure that they have stable foundation. Typically, a veteran is the breadwinner or the foundation of the home due to benefits, due to financial income, and due to just the structure of the household. Well, with that being said, we want to make sure that these VA life insurance programs are making sure it's going to put you in a position to make better informed decisions. And now we're going to go over several different coverage options that's going to serve you, active duty, and your family members. So first, let's talk about service members. Let's talk about the SGLI, Servicemembers Group Life Insurance, okay, or SGLI. This is one of the most common programs, right? This is one of the most common programs because it provides a low-cost term life insurance to eligible members, right? The issue is, again, when we're talking about these low-cost term life insurance, when we think about SGLI, we only think about it to be for active duty, right? Again, there were coverages that rose from $300,000 to $400,000 to $500,000, and it's a life insurance program. What it is, again, let's always unpack what life insurance is. It's a financial coverage that's provided to your beneficiary if you pass away as a veteran or active duty service member. So with that being said, let's really unpack SGLI. Who's eligible, who's not, who's actually going to make sure, that they're going to be covered. Eligibility for SGLI, you have to understand SGLI. Let's figure out what that is. Servicemembers Group Life Insurance. So one of the first personnel who is going to be eligible is an active duty service member. Army, Navy, Air Force, hate to say it, even Space Force, all right? No, for you Space Force fellas, again, you guys are doing a phenomenal job. But Marines, Coast Guard, and so on and so forth, including, obviously active reservists, you are either you also can be a commissioned member of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which again, we don't know too many personnel that actually works there. So again, if you guys do, please chime in the comments. We would love to speak with you because I want to know if it exists first and foremost. Okay, but also, cadets and midshipmen. Okay, cadets and midshipmen. A lot of those military academies, many personnel are going through those academies, and they're going to become service members fully or get off to the fleet. Well, they're covered as well. Not only that, we also talk about the ROTC, okay? Now, when we're talking about the ROTC, that is a cadet, midshipman, reserve officer, and trainee. Okay, I want you to understand, we're not talking about the junior ROTC, okay? We're not talking about the high schoolers, which again, they do a phenomenal job. There are multiple scholarships and incredible programs for those, again, junior ROTC personnel. But again, continue on the Learning Center, you'll learn a lot more about that, okay? But now also, With that being said, you must be also a member of the Ready Reserve, right? The IRR. We all know what that is, right? Typically, if you've done your 4 years, you always get the speech of, hey, well, you are on inactive reserves, right? Inactive reserves. So, whether if you're a continuous reservist member or National Guard member who is in the full unit, well, you must perform at least 12 months within that unit, okay? Inactive training, okay? So, but with that being said, if you are in individual ready reserves program or an active duty member, or a reservist with at least 12 months of inactive reserve training per year, well, guess what? At that point, you are eligible as well. All right, so what are we talking about? Now let's talk about the coverages. Coverages of life insurance. We already know that SGLI is going to cover us by up to $500,000, right? We know this, okay? As an active duty service member. Well, what are you actually paying? What are the coverages? What is the life insurance distribution? How is it distributed? Who is it distributed to? So on and so forth. All right. Once an active duty member is going into the military, we all are going through the process of MAPS, filling out personnel information, filling out life insurance information. And I hope no one has, put their 22-year-old girlfriend as a life insurance beneficiary. Trust me, I've heard it. I've heard some of everything. But however, again, we want to always make sure that we keep our beneficiaries up to date. That's very important. So if you are active duty, or even if you're a veteran, you want to make sure that you are keeping your beneficiaries up to date due to the fact this is a lot of benefits, a financial component to that beneficiary, and it is put in place to support your family thereafter service. Okay. Now, with that being said, we want to make sure that we're talking about coverages. So the coverage is a top limit of $500,000. Okay, $500,000. I want you to understand. You can go all the way up to $500,000 that is offered to service members during active duty. All right. With it going up to $500,000, it is going to be dispersed in $50,000 increments. Okay, $50,000 increments. So make sure that you understand how your distribution of your life insurance is distributed to the family members or beneficiaries. Make sure that they understand that it is $500,000 increments. You can get into the weeds with your life insurance counselor in regards to distribution dates and so on and so forth. Okay, but now also there's 120 days of free coverage from the day that you leave the military. The day you are discharged, I want you to understand that it is automatically, no matter extension, no matter anything, that you have 120 days of free coverage of the SGLI. All right. That is a huge component. Why? Because when transitioning out of the military, there has been several different occasions, and it's a very unfortunate situations that service members have transitioned out and with injuries that may have not been noticed during service, or even scars that we may not see, and ultimately resulting into the loss of life. So please, when we're talking about life insurance, make sure that we are keeping these things up to date. Okay. With that being said, you have 120 days after service that it's automatically going to be in place, so you're protected up until those 120 days expiration. All right, of free coverage. But now, what about after the 120 days? Well, I really, really, really want to put major emphasis on this. Veterans, because you're active duty members, you're transitioning out as a veteran, and we are all veterans at some point of discharge or service. Okay. You have 2 years, 2 years of extension of free coverage. Okay. You can extend of your SGLI. And that, again, I want to be very, very clear. You can extend, you have to opt in to extend your SGLI disability extension benefits up to 2 years, but you must qualify to be extended, okay? You must qualify to be extended to be able to be eligible for your life insurance, okay? Uh, we're going to go on the qualifying matters, but understandably, typically, you must be totally disabled to qualify for that SGLI disability extension, and we'll clarify some of that. We're also going to have a specialist on the podcast, so you can be able to check out the podcast, but also we're going to get a more in-depth exclusive content here in the Learning Center for you guys, okay? But now, when we're talking about extensions, I want you to understand, as a totally disabled service member who is requesting an extension, you must, one, be considerably totally disabled and unable to work. And unable to work. Veterans, be very concise. The iniquities matter, the nuances matter when we're talking about life insurance. Now, also, no matter what of your work status, okay, this is, and again, that is the first criteria that we talked about, totally disabled and also unable to work, or the criteria that I'm going over must be true. No matter the work status of your work status, you must have at least one of the conditions: total loss of hearing, so now you're deaf in both ears, loss of speech, okay, unable to talk, even a whisper, without any type of artificial devices, okay, without any help of any artificial devices, permanent loss of use of one hand, one foot, one eye, okay? That is very important, all right? Because life insurance can really, really be the pillar of the families or veterans' families' success or downfall. Because as I mentioned before in the earlier portions of the video, most veterans are the breadwinners and the foundations of the household. So please make sure you have your life insurance information in place. As I mentioned, that is the SGLI extension. SGLI extension. Again, you must be able to complete the process of the form to be able to extend. The SGLI form is Form 8715. Form 8715, okay? And that's the SGLI form, so please make sure that you understand what you're filling out, and SGLI is just an abbreviation. The military, the VA, everyone has their abbreviation. Again, DOD, everyone loves their abbreviations, but again, it is a Servicemembers Group Life Insurance, okay? Extension, right? Now, I want to close on that. So now what we're going to speak about is the service members that are getting out of service and want to transition their benefits into another life insurance program. Do you qualify? How are you going to be able to qualify? How do you sign up? And if it is worth it? Service members, we talked about this is active duty transitioning to become a veteran, because again, I will always state again and again and again, at some point in time, you're always going to be a veteran. No matter who you are that is serving active duty military, at one point in time in your life, whether if it is you did 2 years of service or you did 45 years of service, you will be a veteran. All right, service members. So now we must understand when transitioning out, we are all going to become veterans. I want to always make sure that I make that a full focus. So all veterans typically have your SGLI benefits, Service Group Life Insurance. Now, with that being said, when transitioning out, we always want to make sure that we have enough of everything. We have enough savings. We have a job. We have a plan of school. We have a plan of our occupation or business. or trade, whatever we're going to do when getting out of service. Everyone has a plan, but when you don't, if you don't have a plan, you are unable to execute and be able to succeed. So now, transitioning your SGLI, okay? How are you going to be able to take care of your life insurance outside of service? Well, guess what, active duty members, and again, veterans. Now, they have put that in place of a plan where if you are transitioning out of service, you have a 1 year and 120 days after discharge, you have 1 year to be able to transition your benefits to something called a VGLI, which again, you will have the up to amount of $500,000 of coverage, up to $500,000 of coverage that is going to be offered to you. So now when we're talking about VGLI, what is it? It is again, it is a group life insurance. Instead of service members group life insurance, this is veteran group life insurance. Okay. Now you're still eligible for up to $500,000. However, you don't have a choice of what you're choosing and how you're going to be able to select what amount of coverage. Okay. You don't necessarily have a choice because it's going to be tacked on whatever you're receiving in service. That's what you're going to receive transitioning over. Okay. So if you selected $200,000 in service of SGLI, but most are already opted in to the $500,000 policy, well, it's going to transition over to the VGLI of the $200,000. But now with that being said, now transitioning that, understanding that you have 1 year to be able to do so. With that being said, I will tell you right now on the coverage pricing on what you're going to be paying for that life insurance program when you're out up to $500,000 would not compare to some of these other privatized life insurance companies. So to pay for $500,000 of coverage as a service member and having 1 year, you're going to be paying pennies on the dollar. So please make sure that you have up to 1 year to transition your SGLI life insurance benefits that are going to protect you and your family outside of that. For retirees, much different. We're going to get into all of that, but that is transitioning your SGLI benefits over to your VGLI, which you're going to be eligible for on a consistent basis. And we're going to talk about the cost of coverage for VGLI. And so on and so forth. Okay, so I really want to make sure that we focus on that as well. Okay, but again, we'll talk about that in a later video. So, but with that being said, I want you to understand now you don't necessarily have to transition your VGLI, SGLI into VGLI coverage. You can actually switch that policy, convert that policy over into a civilian policy. Okay. That is a very huge opportunity. With that, you have 120 days to be able to transition that that VGLI the SGLI over to VGLI, being an active duty service member to being a veteran. That's the only difference. Okay. But if you want a civilian policy, you only have 120 days, which again, you have a participating list that will automatically convert it. Again, that policy right over where you don't have to explain anything of that nature. Again, we're going to have that in participating video documents below. Okay, so you can always reference the educational material that we're providing down. Again, and that is attached. That will have the participating a civilian life insurance coverage listings. But now with that being said, I want to make sure that everyone understands how important life insurance is, how important you as a veteran are, and the impact that it serves your family. Life insurance is an incredible tool to wealth, but it is also an incredible sufferance that the family deals with. If you are unprepared, you're never going to be successful. Please take this education, execute it. Life insurance could make or break your spouse's or children's lives. Do not take this education of life insurance lightly, because again, it's very impactful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. With that, tune in to the next video. See you later.